Welcome back, subscribers, and hello YouTube viewers. On this occasion we're at the fortress or castle called Klis. It's just outside of Split, and if you're a mad keen Games of Thrones viewer, this is the one of the locations where the movie was made from. So we'll have a look. It should be pretty cool. I'm not a fan of Games of Thrones or know anything about it. I don't even think I've seen the movie. But this is supposed to be a bit of a tourist attraction, and directly behind me is that fortress or castle that you get to see. So if there's something there that rings a bell, if you've seen the movie, this is the location. So it should be a bit of fun, and let's go see. I'm with my cousin this time. She's come to visit me, and it's an easy drive from Zadar. I think it took us an hour and 20 minutes on the an autobahn. The speed limit is 130 kilometres, so it was a matter of no time of getting here, and it should be a bit of fun. Once again, no tourism, there's no one about anywhere, which is just fantastic. The locals and my cousin has said that, if you come here during peak tourist season, it's like ants all over the place. So let's go have a look. So that fortress castle type thing is way up there in the distance. I don't know if you can see that, but it's way up there. And we've got to go up this set of stairs, so it's a bit of a hike. I'll let you know when we get there how difficult it is to climb up. So let's keep on going. So the flag is flying proudly as we make our way up to Klis. That's spelled K-L-I-S. And I can tell you it's a bit of a walk, but it's not too bad. We'll get there eventually. Okay, so here we are at a plateau, making our way up Klis, and this is the view of Split. Absolutely fantastic. You can see all the windy roads, how to get up here. There is a cemetery just below us, and what a spectacular view. Also, the weather is fantastic, blue skies. You can see all the little market gardens in the distance. Just lovely. And as you can see behind, there's a lot of maintenance going on. So they're doing a lot of maintenance on the fortress or the castle or whatever they want to call it. So it's all looking good, but we're still going to keep climbing up. So if you're not fit, don't come up here. If you are reasonably fit, you'll make it easy. So here's the basically the first entrance is what they're calling it to get into the fortress. And there is some information here about this fortress. I'll get as close as I can if you would like to read it. English is on the right and Croatian is on the left. It's €10 for adults and €3 for kids to get in. And there's their little tag thing. Very good. Now I can tell you it's extremely windy, so I apologise for the wind noise, and it should be really good. Okay, and here we are at the entrance. So we've just passed the first sort of entrance, and we're coming up to the second entrance is what they're calling it, or the second gate. And as you can see, a lovely few bridges. Viaducts, I guess. I'm not sure what they call them here. And there's the other entrance. And we're still making our way up. And hopefully we'll get to that flag. And then hopefully we'll get more of a bird's eye view. And if there's anything there that rings a bell for that Games of Thrones video. Also you have the fearless workers down there who are doing their thing. And it's just lovely. So there's a few viaducts down there. We're getting higher and we're coming up to the second entry point, or the second gate. We've gone through the first one, and that's where you pay your toll to get in, or your admission. We're up to the second one, and we're slowly making our way to the flag. And as you can see, very, very windy. So I'm not sure if the drone will actually be able to go up. We'll give it our best shot. We've got a couple of hours here, so if the wind does die down, hopefully we'll get to fly around. There's my fearless cousin, who's my tourist guide for the day, and she's doing all the interpretations for me so I don't stuff it up. But once again, there's the Split, the city of Split in the background. Just lovely, great view. And I can say once again that sometimes it's worthwhile coming out of season, October or November, and you really do have the place all to yourself, which is just great. So what I do notice in the area, they do have a lot of models of what you're looking at. There's one of the city down at Split, and now I've noticed this one down, or up here I should say, of this fortress. So hopefully we'll get to see everything along this passage. I'm curious to see what that dome is there, so we get to see that. And once again, it leads you right up to the second gate, or the second entrance point. So here we are at the second entrance. Now, obviously during the centuries, more entrances were either rebuilt from war or extended and included. And I believe from what we've read is this fortress really came into effect in 1355. So that's old. And you can imagine how the fortress protected the citizens of this location, and all the different, armies that tried to take over Split. And one of the things they probably had to do was overrun this fortress. Once again, just a fantastic view. So the flag is now behind us. There's my cousin again. And did they have cannons here through the ages? Absolutely they did. And they've still got a gun emplacement right here. I should say cannon, more so than a gun. So, what do we got here? Well, that's telling us not to climb, and it's a falling hazard, which, yeah, so if you've got kids, I suggest you hang on to their hands, because the policy here is you have to be a supervising parent and not let your kids just roam around aimlessly, because as you can see, it is a big drop. And as you can also see, there's no railing to prevent kids or adults doing something silly. And as we look in the barrel, that's fired its last shot many, many years ago. So we're going to keep climbing to the top. And it looks like my cousin is fearless of heights. So what appears to be a more modern building is now the artillery barracks, and it was built in the 19th century during the Austrian administration of the fortress. It used to have 2 floors that served as a guardhouse and doctor's apartment. Today only the ground floor is preserved after the reconstruction of the fortress in 1931. So once again, press pause if you want to keep reading. Croatian on the left, English on the right. Let's go have a look and see what we see. Okay, that's not a bad view. So there's the outfits maybe for the soldiers back in the day. Very good. I'll have to go up the stairs. I can't help myself. There must be something to look at up here. Once again, just for those who can't do the right thing, surveillance cameras are everywhere, which is great. Okay, so this is a pretty basic sort of little museum. Shows you some of the photos from the era and the little village that's at the base of the fortress. It's just terrific. What appears to be like an old plough there. Very good. I'm sure the farmers will know exactly what that is. Just terrific. This looks like a nice etching of what the fortress looks like. I can understand why it's a popular movie set. If you're looking for a fortress or a castle, this is pretty good. Here's one from the 1930s. Gives you an idea what the fortress looks like back in the day. So this is just prior to, I guess, World War II. Now, I am aware that nearly every district or city has its own sort of traditional dress, music as well, which is pretty good. What could this be? I'm going to guess and say it's got something to do, like there's nothing in English, so I'm going to guess it's got something to do with harnessing a horse. Or a donkey. And here's another, this is from 1892. So you can see the fortress looks like it's in a bit of a bad way. So they must have done a fair few repairs and made the fortification better through the years. Very good. So here we are at the western part of the fortress, and this was known as the most strongest stronghold that protected the western part of the entry. And as we look down, we can see a good portion of the fortress. And the name of the tower is called the Opera, or the Opera, I should say, Tower. So there you go. So once again, there's the information. If you want to press pause, by all means press so. Then you can read. On the left is Croatian, on the right is English. And the fortress could defend itself against even 100 times more numerous enemies. So this part of the fortress was indeed the strongest and most defensive point. And it's at the western side. And once again, if you're got kids, you've got to hang on to them. If you're an adult, if you want to do something silly, well, no one's going to stop you. This is the little town at the base of the fortress, and there's also a few cafes and restaurants down there if you need a drink or want to have a lunch. So we'll probably end up doing that, but we'll keep going because we've still got a lot to explore. I do like the road that we came up on. I didn't realise how actual steep it was to get into this location. There, I don't know if you can see directly in the middle of your screen is a school. So, you know, they're living, breathing in something from the 13th century in their back door, and I think that's pretty special. So as I've always said, some of these country schools have a lot more to offer than some of the city suburban schools, because you're living with history. It could be the pioneers, say, within Australia, or centuries in some of these European countries, and in particular Croatia. So we'll continue on, and we'll go to the next level. So we've made our way from the west side of the fortress to now the east side of the fortress. And the view is just as spectacular at both ends. We've got a little bit further to go east. I'm not sure if we can go any further. It doesn't appear to be any paths that will take us any further than where I am at the moment. But hopefully we'll get some footage of what it looks like. Once again, I think you've got a bit of a glimpse of the town below, and I'm guessing this would have been a pretty easy fortress to overrun, because all you've got to do is block all their exits. I'm not sure how they'd get water up here, or how much food supplies they'd have back in the day to take over the fort. So I'm not sure how all that happens. There must be a well somewhere that they can get water up, and there must be, like nearly every fortress I've ever seen, they have a huge stockpile of food. So if there is a siege going on, they can hopefully outlast those who have created it. So as you can see, it's just fantastic. Absolutely lovely. So here we come to another area, and this tells us that this area right here used to be where the infantry barracks were. At the moment there's a lovely little stage, a lot of seating. So I can only assume that maybe They have tour groups, like bus groups, maybe for school kids, and they have a presentation, and some sort of tourist guide will give them all a heads up on what goes on. I'm not sure whether or not it could be a concert where things happen, but it's not going to hold too many people. Or they might have an on the hour every hour during tourist periods where they give a talk about the whole fortress, and maybe about how the filming was done for the that movie Game of Thrones. Not sure. It'll be interesting. Once again, if I get the drone up, hopefully I'll be able to give you a bit more information and a bit more facts than me just surmising what I think is going up. Down there, if you can see, there's supposedly the blacksmith who would do all the mending and repairs to the horses' hooves, and you can see, I'm not sure what it's called, where if someone was causing a bit of havoc, they put them lock their heads in that sort of area with their arms through, and I think the locals would throw tomatoes and whatever rotten fruit or whatever at them as part of punishment. But that's something that hopefully I'll discover with the voiceover when the drone goes up. Once again, I'm hoping it does not the wind does die down. It's not so windy, because at the moment I don't think I'll be able to get the drone up at all. It's just a little bit too windy. So we're going to continue on as far east as we go, so we can go a little bit more east. It looks like more of a what would you call it, a renovated, repaired structure. They're quite adamant here that nothing is made new. It really is a reproduction of exactly how it would have been, and wherever possible they will use the same stones and rocks that once were there. So here we go. It says a bit of information about that Game of Thrones movie, and it says here, well, it's not a movie, it's actually a set of TV series or something, which I'm totally unaware of. On the left, once again, Croatian. On the right is English, and I'll just do a quick brief. It says several episodes of the 4th and 5th season of the Game of Thrones series were filmed at Klis Fortress. Okay, so those who are keen on the Game of Thrones, it must have been a TV series, I'm guessing, I'm not sure. Hopefully this will ring some bells. Once again, it's just a spectacular view up here. It is windy, but I think it's just going to last a little bit longer, and hopefully it'll die down. I'll get the drone up. Okay, so we've just been informed by my fearless tourist cousin, who's my tour guide, and this wall right here is where they stored water. So they were able to hang out, hold off any prolonged siege, which is, I would have thought, to be expected. There should be somewhere where they would have had all the grains and dry foods to also hold out for months on end if there was a siege going on. But it is just spectacular. I do like the stairs. Once again, the stairs are they're using as much as they can of the existing stuff. So what you basically see is how it probably would have been in all the centuries have gone, which is just fantastic. Now the big decision is we've got to keep going east, and then we're going to try to get to the top of that part, and we'll see how we go. Now we're coming up to, we're at the fast east side. We haven't gone up, but this is the secret entrance. So once again, as we look at this, Croatian on the left, English on the right, press pause, and I do believe, without reading it, it's basically an opportunity for the nobles or the kings or queens or generals or whatever it is, an opportunity to escape if they are being overrun, and it's their last chance to get away. So you can see it's been sealed, and somehow their last line of defence if they're being attacked from this last point. So there you go. I think most fortresses do have them, where there's normally a tunnel where they can escape, and it's their last line of, not defence, but a last line to save those that need to be saved. Now here we have your traditional fortress or castle bathroom. So once again, it's just a hole off the side, and it spills out to the people below. This is pretty normal, and there you go. So if you need to go, this is not used today, so don't think this is your toilet or washroom or anything like that. It's interesting that still remains in place, but yeah, the hole there is to do the business, and it goes out below. So they still retain. That's pretty funny. And just there is your secret entrance, and more so an exit for those who last chance of to get away.
That was one of the most important activities in the middle century, the blacksmith.
Yeah. So yeah, the blacksmith was normally the most important guy in a town or a village, and that's where you get the name Smith. So in England, if your name was Smith, it gave reference to you being a blacksmith. So here's the blacksmith place. I think I had a shot of this from the top down, so now at least we get down to, well, I'm not going to call it street level, but to the level of this landing in the fortress. And yeah, the blacksmith was one of the most important guys. He'd fix up armour, he'd do the horse's shoes, any of the saddles. He was pretty much a jack of all trade, anything to do with metals, and I think also with leather, but I'm not 100% sure with that. But that was his job, and he was quite well respected within the community for having all that. So directly opposite the blacksmith is what they called the Madonna position. So this was the outlook. So if you're a soldier and your officer was saying, right, you guys go to the Madonna position, you knew exactly where you had to stand and protect your post. Now this rings a bell, so I'm going to guess and say this part you'll see in that Game of Thrones. I remember seeing a poster somewhere in the village at this location, and it had the main actors like walking up this way. I could be wrong, and I'm sure those guys who are pretty big fans of Game of Thrones will be able to tell me straight away, no, you've said the wrong thing. But just bear with me. Ignore my ignorance to that series. I'm just giving my two cents worth and speaking aloud. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just trying to narrate this as best as I can, and I'm ad-libbing wherever I can as well. So there you go. So there's the blacksmith. This is the Madonna position, or the post that a soldier would have to stand by to protect. And once again, just fantastic views. And as you can see, we've pretty much still got to go a little bit higher because there's so many different levels. We've come down before we've gone up again. So we've still got to make our way to that dome-looking thing up there and to the top of that tower, which had the last chance escape sort of thing at the bottom that had that toilet. So we'll continue on and let's see what we see. So here we are at the third entrance. And I believe this to be one that's been rebuilt by the Venetians. This is also, I believe, an area where they kept all the gunpowder, but we'll find out for sure. Once again, on the left is Croatian, on the right is English. Press pause if you want to continue to read. So passing through the third entrance, you enter the third defensive fortifications and the most significant part of the fortress. It's just bear with me, I'm about to puff. It stands high above other defence walls and fortifications, and as the ultimate line of Klis defence. Now this is where we found at the base of this tower the secret sort of exit for the noblemen or the kings or the generals or the senior officers to make their last ditch escape. So here's the side tower. I'll say that's a pretty modern door, so we won't worry about that. And here's the armoury, and like most forts, the armoury and the gunpowder is always normally double skinned, so if there is an explosion, only the building itself gets blown out, not the actual walls of the fortress. So once again, Left is Croatian, right is for English. The former repository of weapons and ammunition from the mid-17th century is now used as a uskuk armoury, where there is an exhibit with weapons and replica uskuk uniforms. Okay, we'll go have a look and let's see what we see. Whew, I'm out of puff. We'll have to catch our breath somewhere. So that just behind us, you can see that little dome thing there. I'm going to guess and say that's like a spiral staircase that takes you right down to where the toilet was to make your escape, and that's the last line of defence where that gate or door was. And these must have been the living quarters, which we'll find out shortly. So let's go in here and see what we see. Oh, terrific. So here's your armoury. I do like the old photos. They're just fantastic. Gives you an idea how over the years they get neglected, the fortress, and then another army comes through, rebuilds it, repairs it, and uses it as a fortification. And today it's a museum, which is just great. Wow, that really tells you how bare and isolated this fortress actually was. This is from 1932. And there's your armour, there's your gloves to protect you if you've got a sword in the hand. Just terrific. So here's one from 1895. Wow. Just terrific. Now, if that's going to scale, I can tell you right now, these guys were quite big. They'd have to be 6 foot tall at least, just by the clothing. They weren't little guys, they were big guys. I guess the armies were always trying to get as many big people as they could, as they probably ended up being better at soldiering. There you go. This is from 1596. Wow, okay. Yeah, once again, you can see that the soldiers were not short, they were big. One would have, yeah, they're extremely tall. They're 6 foot plus. So there you have it. Very good. Here's one of the swords, or a sabre, maybe for the commissioned officers. Not sure. Or all the soldiers maybe might have got one. Let's see if we can find something that says it's in English. And the sabres, unlike swords, that slash and starboard crust cuts in a broad swing. Wow, okay, so it did a lot of, the light cavalrymen mainly had them. Very good. So here's another level and a lookout point. So we've just left the armoury down there and we're making our way up. And inside here we find another room. And it's, I guess, just a lookout from the entrance, and you have a good view of possibly oncoming enemies coming your way, and whatever you do to stop them, you can yell out to let people know, yep, they're coming. They've made it past gate 1, gate 2, and uh-oh, we're in trouble now. They're coming right up to our last front door. But once again, just a spectacular view of not just the fortress, but also of Split down in the valley there. Just lovely. Here's another lookout. I'm not sure if you'd put your rifle through there. It'd have to be a pretty narrow rifle, but you've got no left or right ability to aim your fire other than up and down, and that's it. Yeah. Or if you've got a bow and arrow or something to shoot through there, it's very, very narrow. So I'm not sure what they did. Was it a place where they'd pour boiling oil, or because that was once a way of, I believe, as defence. I'm not sure. But yeah, this has all been rebuilt. You can see that it's the stone itself, probably original, but it definitely has been rebuilt to make it structurally safe for tourists and the heritage of this fortress. Okay, so we'll keep going. It's all terrific, very interesting. Just passing the armoury on our right and making our way to the back. And this is an armoury position, is what they're calling it. And I can see a toilet on the right there. And I guess this is what, once they've made their weapons, they could test them out here. So it appears. So the archers would come here, or the manufacturers of those weapons could possibly test it. I don't know. I'm just surmising once again. And there you have the toilet again. This looks like a well for catching water. And we'll have a look at the bathroom. And yes, there is a toilet right here. And wow. So there was sort of areas where the soldiers and the people that were living here, a place to go. And just to the right here, yeah, this is the old powder magazine. And I would have thought, yes, this would have had another wall around the outside of it, so if there was any explosions. Okay, so they've segregated the armoury and the powder room. And this is much smaller. This would have to be very, very thick to prevent any accidents, and if there was one, it wouldn't destroy the rest of the fort. There's some colourful things here. I'm assuming this is the Games of Thrones stuff. I don't know. It looks very familiar for that show, but I don't know. And a great echo in here. The echo is fantastic. Very good. Okay, so this is I'm guessing this is sort of an image from that series. Very good. Wow. I wonder if they employed a lot of the locals as extras. They would have had to have got all the local kids, high school kids, and anyone that was prepared to put their hand up to get involved. It would have been great fun while they were making the series here. So once again, we'll make our way out and let's see what we see. So here we are at another level, and they're calling this little room the small quarters. And they've got a lovely little balcony, but it's not a balcony, but that's what I'm calling it. And once again, unbelievable views, and I'm sure that it has a name like Madonna or the other places we've been to, where if you were a soldier, you knew what your position was during any threat to the fortress. And I'd say they're probably living quarters here. And as you can see just there, they are doing maintenance here on a regular basis. And this is probably the best time of the year to do it. And we continue on. We'll go up this way to the left to that domed sort of structure. I'm going to guess and say that's a church. It's got the cross at the very top, and we'll do the church first. So here we are at the Church of St. Vitus. The Church of St. Vitus is a symbol of centuries-old resistance of foreign cultures. It has been preserved almost entirely and is one of the few examples of the mix of Christian and Muslim cultures in the Croatian territory. 17th century. Okay, this should be good. Let's make our way in. Oh, once again, very echoey. Just lovely. Wow. Absolutely fantastic. So once again, this chamber is, or this church is just so echoey. It must be quite difficult to have mass here. I don't know if it's coming through on the audio of this little camera, but I can hear myself talk. It's because there's a bit of a delay. Just lovely. And I'm assuming they must have mass here for sure. They've got like basic pews. They've got a little fountain there to bless oneself with maybe holy water. Not sure. Yeah, not sure. But just lovely. Absolutely lovely. So here we are at the Provedor's residence. I'm not even sure what that actually means, but basically it suggests this is where the rulers would come and meet. Captains and lords. The tower at the western end is today called the Tower of Peter Croatia, I think is how you pronounce it, I'm not sure, who was the captain of the Uskos and Klis. And at the same time, the most famous Croatian military leader in the anti-Ottoman wars. He gained fame by organising a rebellion against the Ottomans during the Ottoman siege of Klis in 1512 to 1537. Whew. So this poor building and this fortress, it's seen a lot. So we'll go and have a look and see what it looks like, if we can. If we can't, we can't. So this is pretty much where the ruling class would meet, govern, and do what they have to do. And they've turned it into like an art gallery, which is just terrific. I do like this one. That's pretty cool. Very modern looking. That one's terrific. I even like this one with the boat. And it really does. The water in the Adriatic is very clear, and you can see quite clearly underneath. It's terrific. So yeah, definitely an art gallery. Once again, very echoey. And I'm going to guess and say everything's for sale at the right price. Oh yeah, this is a formal residence of leaders, and I'm going to guess where I'm going at the moment is where decisions were made, hearings were held, plans were made in relation to battle plans or just the governing of the area. Absolutely. Very, it's probably used today. Oh, hang on, I'm saying it could be used today. I would find it very difficult to see executives climb up where we have to get here. But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It's just terrific. So it's a big space. You know, the fortress is a lot bigger than what you might think it is. And yeah, so this is it's sort of like an executive suite. And the governing area where one resided and did business. So there's a number of ways we can go from here. There's some images of someone with a drone, and hopefully I can capture some of this footage as well. Or we hope to anyway. We'll see how we go. Okay. So I'm assuming if this person was able to get his drone up, he might have been able to, seek permission in case it's, for whatever reason, they don't want drones up. I haven't seen any signs so far. I'll just play this for a little longer, and it just shows you, we're pretty much at the moment in this section here, which is like the main residence. Terrific. Now all these rooms are environmentally controlled, so it's a bit cooler in here. I'm assuming that's to protect all the art, sculptures, and anything of historical sort of value from decay. So we're basically looking at when the Austrians occupied it, the Ottomans, the Venetians, the Romans. I'm sure there must be more. I would have thought that Split was a popular place that armies and empires would want to take control of. So here we go. I think this takes us back to the entrance. Yeah, this is the entrance. So we'll go back up, and there's the art gallery. So I'll go back down actually. There was another way I could go. So here's another. Oh, okay, so they've got modern toilets, so if you need to go toilet, which is good, that's good for the tourists. So they've got bathrooms up here, so that's sort of good news, because if you're a tourist and you needed to go, where do you go? So there is bathrooms here, and they are modern bathrooms, so there's no need to panic if you need to go to the bathroom. So there are bathrooms up here. They're a little hard to find though. There's no real signs pointing you to this way, but yes, there is bathrooms. So here we are. It's probably the tallest point you can get to at this fortress. I do have to admit, it is a spectacular day as well as a spectacular view, but it is windy. In the distance you can probably see some sort of mining that goes on, but yeah, I'm still a little bit reluctant to get the drone up. It is very windy. The drone can handle about, I think it's 25 to 35 kilometres. I think this is a little bit stronger than that, but we'll still be here for a little bit longer. We'll see how we go. So here we are, pretty much to the final part of this fortress. I think we've pretty much gone everywhere we can. So this is the new gunpowder magazine area. So they obviously kept a lot of gunpowder and stuff. It's very dark in here, so here we are in what they're calling the new gunpowder area. It is dark, and as you can see how thick the walls are. So if there was an explosion, once again it's not going to blow out the whole fortress, it'll keep it in one area. Interesting. It looks like it's turned into a bar where you come and drink or something. I got no idea. I guess they're trying to make the most use out of it. Maybe during peak tourist season, someone would work here and serve refreshments to those who needed it. And then we'll go to our left here, and we're nearly to the end. So here's one of those other positions or posts by another name, and I can only assume that's just to make things easier for the soldiers. So if they were given direction to go to a certain point, they would know exactly where they had to go, and it's good they were able to recall what the names were for those positions. So here we are. at the very end of this fortress. So we've pretty much covered all of it. I would say at some stage how they've got these concrete pads, and there's a number of them to the left and right, and a large one here, that this could have been a post where anywhere from cannons to anti-aircraft during the First, Second World Wars, even during the War of Independence for Croatia. I can't really say, but we'll have a look and see what it says here. Once again, on the left Croatian, on the right English. Until the Venetian conquest of the fortress, a high square-shaped tower was standing here. It was damaged several times and destroyed during the Venetian siege. Later, a plateau was built on this site, and a wall with a gate was built on the east side, though which a cannon was pulled out during the siege and placed on top of a bow of the position to defend the east. Just continuing on, the fortress was last used for military purposes in World War II, as an anti-aircraft guns were positioned here. I thought so. Normally the high points of any location overlooking a city of any sorts is where you put the anti-aircraft stuff to defend your position. So I'd imagine there must have been 3 anti-aircraft guns bolted to these concrete slabs or rock formations that are quite flat. So there you have it. It's just a fantastic view, it really is. I can, without a shadow of doubt, recommend people just to come here, not even for if you're interested in the Game of Thrones to reminisce the actual filming location, but just as a place of historic importance. It is just wonderful. There's a lot to see. I can't show you everything. The video would go for quite some time, and I've basically just shown you snippets here, there and everywhere, and given you a sort of a basic overview of what I'm looking at. And I can tell you there's a lot of little platforms all over the place for the infantry to stand and defend. So this is one of those little sort of platforms that come out from the side of the fortress proper, so to speak. And any opportunity where they've got that natural sort of foundation to extend out from, they've made into somewhere where they can defend this fortress. It's just really interesting to see all the little houses below and how people live and where they lived. You can see some of the really old homes, and you can see where the tiles have collapsed for their roof and people haven't rebuilt, and then you'll have some of the older homes with that grey sort of concrete stone structure with the terracotta tiles, and then you have the brand new homes where you can see the walls, the roof, everything is relatively of a modern sort of materials being used. But they've got such a lovely forest, market garden down there, parkland. So even though you're a bit of a distance from Split, the city, they've got a wonderful green space directly behind it, near the hills, to get it to get you away from the rat race, so to speak. Just lovely. Now we have come across another little door that leads somewhere. It's another post. There is a lot of nook and crannies to explore, and it's just like a little tunnel that goes further there, but it looks like they're using it for storage, so we can't go any further there. And then it comes out to this opening. Wow. So here's another position for their soldiers. This is where they had the so when we first came here, you would have noticed the scaffolding where they're doing some maintenance work, and this is that location. So also just once again fantastic lookout. The actual Croatian flag is behind us, and this is probably the furthest point out this way. So behind that slits in the fortress, they're calling it the frontal position, and it looks like they're repairing this wall, I guess, to make it a lot safer for those that venture out this way and have a bit of a look, and they don't tip any of the rocks over to the people below. It's just great. It really is. This gives you another angle. Okay. So here we are at the base of the fortress. I can tell you it is well worth the effort to come. It is terrific. Just as a heads up, you really need to be relatively fit, not super fit. If you can walk around, do stairs and whatnot, it's really worthwhile. I'd give it at least an hour and a half to look around the fortress, and you will be just bring your camera. Absolutely. I am going to try to get the drone up. Fingers crossed I can, but this is just my sign out. Once again, if you did like the video, by all means, click on that like button or that thumbs up icon. Please consider subscribing. Subscribing doesn't cost you 1 cent, and it really does help the channel immensely. But once again, most importantly, stay safe wherever you are, commute safe, and have a great day. And once I get this drone up, I will be getting a hot chocolate somewhere. It is extremely windy, so I'm just going to hold my breath that I can get the drone up, because it would be quite spectacular to get footage of this fortress. And if you are a Game of Thrones or whatever it's called, I hope this inspired you to watch that film once again, or that series once again. So I'm just going to say goodbye and thanks for watching.